Mhm.
The Patriot way is hard. It's
Yeah.
not, you're not going to come there to have fun.
You run laps, you run sprints, you do the stuff that you haven't done in probably 10 years.
Exactly. But it for Bill and the Patriots, because he implemented it, he had a quarterback that helped support it, as in Tom, and the results spoke for itself.
Mhm.
It works.
It
I don't think it works everywhere else, because you have guys that I don't think know the balance. Like Matt Patricia. Matt Patricia did not have the balance with it.
No.
Matt Patricia is just stern fist, like, this is what we're doing.
Yep.
I don't care what you guys think. I got no respect for you. Do this and we will win. No.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem is when you're around somebody all the time. Like, I don't know what shows you listen to, but if you listen to Colin Cowherd all the time, if you listen to Colin Cowherd, 2 hours a day, every day, 4 hours a day, every day,
Yep.
and you get on a radio, you get on a podcast, you get on a TV show like this, you're going to start to talk like him.
Yep.
Even if you do it subliminally, you do it. You're yourself. You're Tony. I'm Joe. We do it.
Right.
But we start to mimic those that we are around all the time, who we hear all the time, who we think of as influences all the time. And the problem, exactly like you said, is guys like Patricia, guys like McDaniels, guys like Mangini, they try and take it somewhere else, and they want to be like 60% Belichick and 40% themselves. But then it seems to shift into that mold of like 65-35, 70-30. Well, my way's not working, so I'm going to go a little bit more towards Bill because his way works.
Yeah.
Like you said, I mean, that situation, I was a fan before the Super Bowls. Drew Bledsoe was my guy.
Mm-hmm.
I was upset when a Michigan quarterback took over, but I learned to deal with it over time.
Right, so you got 6 Super Bowls out of it. I don't think you can really complain.
You sell yourself for for some titles. But again, you're right. Organizations are influenced. I don't want to blame it on social media because that's not fair, but they hear things, whether it's print in newspapers, if you're in cities like New York and Chicago and LA and things of that sort, podcasters, radio hosts, things of that sort. You are influenced. I think what needs to be respected is the organizations that aren't. Organizations like Pittsburgh, organizations like New England, where they really don't let the outside noise get to them. I mean, Pittsburgh has had 3 head coaches in 60 years. I mean, nobody can touch that. I don't care what, success, not success, whatever, like nobody touches that. So they don't let anything bother them when it comes to that. And I think that's a mentality. I would even say a little bit of like Arthur Blank in Atlanta. I think some of his coaches have actually stuck around a little bit longer than maybe they should have. But Arthur Blank, he doesn't like to fire people. It's a really hard decision. And he seems to run that organization in a way where it's like, okay, we're going to go through the troubles and we're going to go through the highs. And I'm just going to kind of block everything out until it just becomes too much.
Well, and to be honest with you, I don't necessarily see it as a bad thing. I think it does come to a point where, like in Arthur Blank's situation, where you're giving guys chances, but they're not producing you results. Like he gave Dan Quinn 5 years. I don't think that's bad, because if you look at a place like Cleveland, a coaching carousel, it's like they have a new coach every year. This is the longest sustainment of like a coach and a quarterback that they've had in like 20 flipping years.
Yeah.
Like we and look at Jacksonville too. Jacksonville, rotating carousel of coaches. Detroit, rotating carousel of coaches. And we've seen those teams. Chicago, you've kind of seen those teams are typically more kind of the bottom feeder teams that are struggling to succeed and struggling to go anywhere. And it's kind of ironic now that, because a lot of people have brought it up, the only person that has ever played in the Patriot way, keyword played, not coach, played in the Patriot way and has had any type of success is Mike Vrabel. And it's funny how a lot of people try to say, oh, well, he's a Bill Belichick guy. No, he's not. He's not. He was a player. I think Mike has been able to work because he has been able to see it from a player standpoint and a coaching standpoint. I think he has just enough of a balance between, I know how to do the Patriot way. I know I have to be tough. I know I have to be firm. But as a player, as a man, as a person, I've been on that field being on the receiving end of the Patriot way. So this is how I have to do things because if I'm that guy, if I'm in their shoes, you are not going to treat me like the Patriot way and then expect me to be able to perform for you like the way that you want me to.
Yeah, he's not a direct Belichick guy, but he's like a kissing your third cousin Belichick guy, because he did work under Crennel. So like it's one of those, like, you don't want anybody to see you, but you don't feel as guilty about it. It's like, okay, he doesn't really he's not a Belichick guy, but he comes from the tree.
Yeah.
So in that terms, I get it, because he actually coached under Urban Meyer at Ohio State. He went back there and helped out.
Yes,
And then again with Romeo Crennel and stuff. So I think Vrabel has the benefit of like the modern NFL coach, of where he played in the offenses and the defenses that we see now. He played under a lot of these rules. He could see them coming down the pipe. He's young enough that he got to do that, but he's also old enough that he's experienced in the college game, in the pro game. He didn't just go to being a defensive coordinator. He was actually, a position coach. I think he was a linebackers coach in Houston, you know, and stuff like that before becoming a defensive coordinator. So like you said, he doesn't come directly from the tree, but he does take a little bit of everything. Vrabel's his own man. But you can definitely see where he got that from Crennel, from that kind of thought process of like the analytical, and not analytical stats, but like the mind game way of coaching defense, and even the way offense is. Because defensive coordinators, the thing that they have to do to be successful, and this goes for offensive coordinators too, is they have to understand the other side of the ball. Bill Belichick is maybe the greatest defensive mind in NFL history, because he understands offenses so well. Because you have to know how to defend. You have to know what they're going to do to defend it.
Yeah, and I think kind of the other thing too, that to me, if I was a head coach like in Bill's position, I like what Bill did as far as he went out and he got an offensive coordinator that he trusted, that he works well with his quarterback, and he's basically the head coach. But Josh McDaniels runs everything on the offense. Bill and his again, no offense, his son is weird and makes some weird.
He's weird. He's weird. Don't apologize.
So weird.
Don't apologize.
But Josh basically runs the offense, and Bill is like, "Hey, son, focus, coach the defense." But I do agree. I think that's kind of where Vrabel has worked, because think about it. You got coached by Bill Belichick, considered one of the greatest coaches in the league. You then, coached with and learned from one of the greatest college coaches considerably in the game, ever to have coached the game, in Urban Meyer, managing to help, Utah, Florida, Ohio State all win national championships. And then you learned under, like you said, Romeo Crennel, who was solid with Kansas City, solid with the Houston, solid with Cleveland. So yeah, I think Vrabel is probably one of the greatest successes from the Belichick tree. I would say I would probably say the greatest. I mean, Saban, because he went to college and things of that sort. But I think when you look at the pros, I think it's easily Vrabel. Yeah, easily, for sure. And it's funny, because if you look at Urban right now, and maybe it's just because he's with the Jags, he's got a rookie quarterback, he's struggling in the NFL. But I'll say at the same time, I haven't liked Urban's coaching staff hires. I think they're garbage, hot garbage. Yeah, and I think if he doesn't really take a good look at his coaching staff at the end of this year, like, to me, if I'm Patrick Bieniemy, go develop Trevor Lawrence. Like, you took a dude in Patrick Mahomes who, think about it. I don't know how much college you watch, but did anybody ever mention Patrick Mahomes before he got drafted in the NFL?
I mean, as one of those, like, boy, if this guy puts it together, but not as like when Kansas City drafted up and took him, it was like, whoa, like Andy Reid must really think that they can do something with this kid, because he was not somebody who was considered, at least that I remember, as a top 10 pick.
Right.
He was not somebody that was going to be like, oh, just you wait, somebody's going to trade up for this kid. And it's like, I mean, if he falls to somebody great, I put him in the same class a little bit as like the Aaron Rodgers in that draft. Like, the guy had all the physical tools, and if he went to the right situation and learned under the right system, he could be successful. The difference is Patrick Mahomes waited 1 year, whereas Aaron Rodgers waited 3 years.
Right. So, yeah, to me, if I'm Eric Bieniemy and if I'm Urban Meyer, I am begging him to come down and help with Trevor Lawrence, because I think wide receiver-wise, I think Jacksonville is actually pretty solid. You have DJ Chark from LSU, who's not terrible. He's your speedster. I thought Marvin Jones Jr. I thought initially was going to be a solid pickup for them. I remember watching him in Cincy last year in Detroit. The dude was fantastic for both teams consistently.
I like that signing,
the tight end, there's a lot of questions. Running back, I don't know if James Robinson is the guy. I think he just happened to get lucky from he was a rookie running back. Nobody really knows how to play it, like stop him. It's not one of those he was a big name coming out of college, so it's not like there's going to be a ton of film on him as far as stopping him. Now there is. Now we've kind of seen James Robinson he's not bad, but he's not, not a top 5 back, by no means. So if I'm Eric Bieniemy, that's your real test. Go to Jacksonville. Help Jacksonville be help Jacksonville be like 8-9. Help Jacksonville be like second in the AFC South.
You know what he needs to help Jacksonville be? 2% milk. It's not the healthiest thing for you, but you know what? It's going to sustain you. It's going to get you through the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not whole milk, and you're right above skim milk. You're like right.
That's right.
You're right in the middle.
It's gonna make you throw up, but it's not gonna. You're gonna want to wash it down with something.
Right. All right. So talked a lot about the NFL. So let's move real quick as far as the college. So I'm actually going to give you the pick. We got three games to me that I think is going to be big determining factors for a lot of the college football playoff implications, a lot of the standings. We've got Michigan State versus Ohio State. We've got Oklahoma versus Iowa State. We've got Arkansas versus Alabama. Now, 2 of those games feature both teams being ranked, with Michigan State being ranked 7, Ohio State being ranked 4. Arkansas, I think, is ranked 21st, and Alabama is ranked number 2. And in the Oklahoma versus Iowa State, Oklahoma is ranked 13th. Iowa State is unranked. To you, out of any of these games, do you think that there's any team that should be kind of worried about being on upset? And kind of real quick, who do you think takes home the win in these 3 games?
I think Oklahoma has to be worried about the upset. Iowa State was a team they played last year in the Big 12 championship. I think it's a team that can give them issues. Me personally, I've never been a Lincoln Riley person. I don't think he runs an offense. I think he runs a gadget offense. There's rumors about him being linked to LSU. Again, I said it earlier. What does he do well? Okay, he gets Heisman winning quarterbacks. All right, do they win national titles with him? No. Do they sustain more than 1 year? No, because you're usually gone. I mean, right now we see an issue where, like, you had a Heisman Trophy candidate at the beginning, and now you go, was it Caleb Williams, I believe is his name?
Yep.
And now they're not even sure if he's going to start, so they might go back to Spencer Rattler. So, again, like, to me, I think Iowa State has a decent chance against Oklahoma, so that's on upset alert. Alabama, I mean, yeah, I get it. Arkansas is ranked, but, I mean, is Alabama scared of Arkansas? No. I don't think so. So I don't really see that being – I think they're like 20.5-point favorites. I'm not a betting man myself for the most part, but yeah, I don't think that they're going to get within 2 touchdowns. I think that's a pretty safe bet. I mean, Bryce Young has looked really good on offense. Yeah. Again, their defense isn't what it's been in previous years. Also, their offense isn't what it was last year, but they're still the number 2 team in the country. So do I see them getting upset before? I mean, with a win, they go up against Georgia in the SEC championship. They know that's their first stepping stone. They are a stepping stone team. Okay, we got to win our conference, and then we go to, or we got to win, the division, the East-West. We have to win that, and then go to the conference, and then beat them, and do all that stuff. So to them, Saban's got them focused. I don't see them getting tripped up by Arkansas. Yeah. Anthony commented below, Michigan State, Ohio State. Now, last year, this was a game a lot of people thought Michigan State would be competitive in. They weren't. Nope. I think right now they're like 3 touchdown favorites, like 20-point favorites.
Yeah.
The thing that scares, I'm an Ohio State fan, in case I didn't say that. The thing that scares me is the last couple of years, Michigan State has really tried to establish the running game, especially this year. Excuse me. They have, I'm trying to think of his name.
Kenneth Walker.
Yes. I think it's 7 straight 100-yard games.
Yep.
Ohio State's run defense has not been what it used to be. They are very susceptible to the run. Teams that have beat them the last couple of years have run the ball really well on them. Penn State earlier in the year, they didn't beat them, but they stayed competitive because they were able to run the ball a little bit more. I do like the Ohio State offense. CJ Stroud was somebody that, I'm not going to lie, I did not think that he was going to have this type of season. He struggled early. The Oregon game was bad. But again, he was replacing Justin Fields, who was number 1 high school prospect, transfer from Georgia, all this other stuff. Yeah. So I kind of expected Ohio State to be good, maybe in the Big Ten championship, but not necessarily. I love Olave as a receiver. The running game's a little bit better than I thought it would be. But
Yeah.
if you tell me that Michigan State, who again beat Michigan, gave them their only loss of the year, if you tell me that Mel Tucker and the Spartans beat Ohio State, I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, I'd be surprised because I do think the offense of Ohio State is that good.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be. I mean, again, if Walker goes for 198 yards, am I going to be stunned? No, not really.
And I'd agree, because I'll be honest with you, because I watched a lot of Ohio State games, because even when I was stationed in DC, that's one of always the Big Ten team to carry has been Ohio State.
Yep.
Yeah, I like you said, I noticed early with the Minnesota game, CJ Stroud's first game, he didn't do bad, but he struggled. He struggled in the Oregon game, and kind of so on and so forth. To me, the big thing that kind of surprises me with this Ohio State team is statistically, yeah, they're putting up the yards, but it's like they don't have those big playmakers like they've almost always had. They don't have the Terry McLaurins. They don't have the
I do think Olave is that guy, but he's getting double covered. Like they're trying to do everything, which is why Wilson has eaten this year and gotten so many touchdowns, because they're paying so much attention to Olave.
Yeah, and I agree, because last year Olave was just burning people left and right, and kind of the same with the Ohio State defense. You don't have one of those premier edge rushers like you've had. You had both the Bosa brothers, back to back, and you had Chase Young. So it's like now, especially kind of last year, you saw it. They don't really have that one guy that has made that significant, impact defensively. But I do kind of agree. I think, honestly, the biggest thing that's going to hurt Michigan more than anything is going to be their defense, because their defense has been a weak point for them the entire time. If you look at a team like Purdue, Purdue put it up against, Iowa when they were ranked number 2. They put it up against, Michigan State now. Ohio State at one point was even supposed to be on upset by them, and Ohio State took care of business.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely see it, I think, being more competitive than what we'd probably expect, but I would still say Ohio State's probably going to be a 2-touchdown favorite at least.
The Oregon loss was the best thing that could happen to Ohio State. They had a team coming in that was, ranked behind them. They were high up in the standings. They were missing a few players. Oregon comes in and gets the win. They get that loss out of the way early, where they look and say, hey, listen, we have no room for error now. We have no margin for error. We can't be piddling around. Like, you guys need to focus and do this. And after that game, they seem to really change on offense. Again, running the ball a little bit more. The passing game is kind of changed with the tight ends a little bit more and things of that sort. Like you said, there's no I love Olave. Defensively, there's no defensive, shutdown corner like they've had the last few years. Again, the edge rushers are a little bit different. So I am concerned, like you said, about the Michigan State offense. The Michigan State defense is my hope in the game, that Ohio State can spread them out, run the ball effectively, get some open lanes, and just put up a lot of points and just kind of run the game out in the second half will be my hope.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, if you look at least the top 10 teams, the only 2 teams that have – a loss is a loss, but they have better losses is Michigan and Ohio State, because Michigan lost to Michigan State, who's ranked in the top 10. Ohio State lost to Oregon, who's also in the top 10. Everybody else has pretty much lost to an unranked team. So I do agree, though. I called the other night on one of the other shows I do here. We do a lot of the college predictions. I think Iowa State upsets Oklahoma. I say that because really, if you look at both Iowa teams in Iowa and Iowa State, both, they're the teams that are they ever in the Big Ten championships? No, but are they normally ranked, top? Well, not top, but bottom 15 to 25. Yes. Can they always give some of these teams more of a run for their money? Yes. So I think, like you said, with Williams coming in, his confidence is going to be shaken. If I'm Lincoln Riley, I don't go back to Spencer Rattler, and I say that because you look at any quarterback, professional or college, either one, when you say you're done, go to the bench, this guy's starting, your confidence, how you play the game, you're going to try to make more plays, like, hey, I'm still the guy. What does it almost always end up leading up to? Ends up leading up to more mistakes. And I think if he does that, Spencer Rattler is either going to come in and he's going to drop the ball literally, or Garrett Williams, you just need to roll with him, roll with the rest of it. Because, I mean, think about it. That's what they did with Spencer Rattler last year. He wasn't bad, but he wasn't great. And they're like, okay, we're going to roll with you into the next year. I think they need to do the exact same thing with Williams.
Unless Williams gets hurt, I don't see Rattler seeing the field. That's the only way you can come in is where Spencer Rattler leads. He needs to be the conquering hero coming back in. Like, okay, I could do this and stuff like that. And it can't be like, okay, we're tired of him now. We're going to pull him. You need to go back in. I just think that's a recipe for disaster. And I just don't think Oklahoma's very good.
No.
I just don't.
Because kind of the same. They don't have the offense like they used to. They've never really had a defense, but most of the Big 12 typically doesn't. And then real quick, because we're about to wrap it up, I do think Alabama gets the win. If it was in Arkansas, I would maybe see Alabama being a little bit more on the upset. But I think because it's in Tuscaloosa, I think Bama goes ahead and gets the win. But that is all we got, Joe. Thank you for being on. Thanks for being on the show. Greatly appreciated, especially in the return episode after being off for like 8 weeks. So
my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me. I was super excited and super nervous for this, and I've been watching you guys' shows more often, and I'm so thankful that you invited me on and had me on, and I'm glad we got to talk.
Yeah, awesome. I appreciate it. And y'all can actually catch, I think Joe's also going to come on Just Say the Truth, which is actually getting ready to come on right after this. I'm also going to be the moderator for that. But again, thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Hoosier Huddle. And we will be back. I don't think we'll be back this upcoming week because it's Thanksgiving, but we'll see.
Well, I'll leave that up to you, sir. I'm always available. So you shoot me a link and I'm here.
Okay. Well, it's Thanksgiving, so we might have to play that one by ear because I'll probably be back at home for that one. So we'll see. All righty. But y'all take care and y'all have a good night.
All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports.